Well guys, welcome to the video, and this video is about something a little bit different. It's about these GoPros, and here's one right here I've got in my hand. And these GoPros have been receiving quite a bit of hate lately, and people are just saying you shouldn't buy them anymore. This is my last GoPro ever, and you should be switching to 360 cameras. And I'm normally a person that's a bit of a knocker. You probably established that. So most of my videos, I'm really having a bit of a go at the cycling industry. And I think that's justified. But when it comes to this camera, I don't know if this criticism is really justified. So let's roll an intro and let's have a talk about these GoPros, and have they really come to the end of their life, or are they really just rubbish and you shouldn't be buying them moving on? Okay, well, the GoPro has been a very versatile camera, and this one here that I've got is not the latest. This is the Hero 9. Yeah, the Hero 9, and there's been a Hero 10, and now we have a Hero 11, and the new Hero 11 has got a much bigger sensor, better light sensitivity, and is far improved. But the biggest criticism with these cameras has been that they're glitchy, they turn off, they overheat. There's this long list of people just don't like these cameras. Now, this one here has given me some issues. They do overheat if you run them for a long time, but they are a very small package. And these are not the only product in this realm, or even bigger cameras, that suffers from overheating. There's quite a lot of cameras over the years that have suffered from overheating and still suffer from overheating. But what a lot of people are saying on their videos is it's time to move on from GoPro. They're too glitchy. You move to these other products. They're better to use, and they haven't got as many bugs as the GoPro. Now, I pretty full on with photography. I do some photography stuff outside of this YouTube channel, and I would disagree with that. I think what you need to look at is the application you're using these type of cameras for. Now, I've got a Xtra camera here, which is kind of the 360 go-to brand. And this one here is the best one the Xtra 360 make, that's in a portable type of design. They do have some that are more professional, but they're very, very expensive. But this one is their best line in their more handy, should I say, or selfie stick type of genre. This is the best camera that's available. Now, this camera here does not produce as good as footage as the GoPro. The picture out of this camera is still a lot better than this camera. And this one is a number of years old. And this one here overheats as well, because you've got such a small form factor. They can't dissipate the heat. They can't produce the quality, and that suffers. Something's got to give. Now, this one here is a 360 camera, and a lot of the videos that have been put out is you should switch to an Xtra and X3, not this one. Now, the X3 isn't as good a picture quality as this, so I would say that you're not going to get as good a picture as a GoPro. And the 360 cameras take more work to render. There's an extra step where you have to go through and learn the app, and you've got to select what you want to look at. And the Xtra 360 one, I don't think is easy to use as the GoPro one, where they have the GoPro Max 360 camera. I prefer the GoPro software. So they're the two different types of cameras that they're putting, and they're both type of action cameras. One's a 360 camera, one is just your normal action camera. Now, if it's true what they're saying about the new GoPro and the bigger sensor, well, bigger sensors usually give you better low light performance. I still think that these GoPros are still very, very good cameras. Now, I do know that DJI have a one that has little magnets and it clips together, and that suffers a lot from overheating as well. So GoPro are not the only cameras that are suffering from this. And as I said before, this 360 camera does overheat as well if you run it for quite a while. So should you still consider GoPro? Now, I would say that, yeah, in this type of market, they're trying to make out that somehow GoPro's got all these glitches and everyone else hasn't. And I must admit, I don't take that on board. And from my experience with using these type of cameras, I think that the GoPros are actually pretty good. And where I think they're really good is they're strong. Now, this one's got an extra media mod on it, so it's probably a little bit more fragile. You can't put it underwater once you have the media mod on. But with the media mod on, the sound quality and wind suppression is extremely good. So this little setup, you can just chuck it on a selfie stick and you can film yourself, and you don't have to worry about clipping a microphone on, although you will get a bit better sound, but the sound is still pretty decent straight out of the camera with this media mod on. And it's a one-stop shop item. And I think that these type of action cameras like the GoPro are still the best walking around vlogging camera, or something you want to stick it on mounted on your bike with the little mounts. They all GoPro mounts. The only thing is, if you want to try and use it as a safety device like the Fly 6, the GoPro is not really good for that because they do overheat, and the battery time and the overheating runtime is limited. So you can't go for a 2-hour ride and expect this little thing to film for 2 hours. It just won't. So that is a limitation. But if you wanted to go out on a group ride and you wanted to just capture some moments where you're banging down a hill or you're doing a sprint challenge, you can just hit that button. And in fact, you don't even have to hit the button. You can just say GoPro start recording, and they start recording. And then you can do your like minute or 2 minutes, 3-minute clip. And then you say, GoPro, stop recording. It stops. And then later on in the ride, you might have some part where you're all having a chat and you just want to record that. And you'll stop at some traffic lights and you have a bit of a good discussion. You can just say, GoPro, start recording. It'll start recording. And then you can capture that, the guys talking, and also what they're saying. So these sorts of cameras, I think for what us guys are doing, which is cycling, this type of form factor, whether it be GoPro, GGI, whatever the brand, Osmos, they still really have a place. And I don't think the GoPro bashing is really any different to any of the other cameras in this action line. They all have their little issues. Now, one thing that I have found with this camera, and this has got to do with the software, I don't know why they did this, on the latest software, now when I plug it in, it turns the camera on, but I don't want the camera on, I just want it to charge. And that's what it used to do before. And now it's got this bug from a software upgrade. So your GoPro could be doing it better, that's for sure, because that's just a silly fault. But this camera now, you can record like a 10-minute video on it. It doesn't stop, it doesn't overheat. The only thing it does do is after a certain time, it splits the clips. Now, I think maybe it's doing that. This is part of the software update. It's doing that. So if it does overheat or it does stop, you don't lose all of your footage. So what it does it in segments, like this segment, that segment, that segment, that segment. So if it goes off here, then you're going to still have the other footage. You're not going to lose everything. So I think that was an added thing that GoPro do. And I know a lot of the sound devices that record you also do that as well. It's like a safety feature. So if something goes wrong, you don't lose all of your footage. Well, guys, I'm not on the bus of like GoPros are rubbish and you should get rid of them and you shouldn't buy another GoPro and this is the last GoPro I'm going to buy. I would buy another GoPro. I think they're a pretty good tool, but you do need to understand that these type of cameras have their limitations. If you want to record for 2, 3, 4 hours, no way, that's not the thing. But if you want to record clips or parts of a ride, or you're doing a vlog for 10 minutes, I mean, even if you're on the bike, you can turn this on for 10 minutes and run it, and you can even talk and explain where you're going, what you're doing, what the group's doing on the bike. You may be doing some touring, and you say, oh, we're coming to a town, we're getting some water, we're getting some food here because we're running low, we've only got half a bottle of water left. These things do that job really, really well. Well, anyway, guys, I'm a bit of a GoPro fanboy. Leave your comments down below. What do you think about GoPros? There's a lot of negativity around on YouTube at the moment about these things. I think it's a little bit unwarranted. Some of their points are true, but I think that the action camera market hasn't really changed, and GoPro is not this outcast that's been left behind. Well, that's where I'm going to leave it, guys, and I will see you next vid.